What's up, SnowTrax Nation? Luke here, bringing you guys maybe the most exciting walk around video I've done in a decade. I finally got my hands on Thundercat's new Catalyst chassis. This is an RXC version. I did a test ride on an RXC last year in the old chassis. This is the new RXC. I didn't actually even know this model was going to be available, but here it is. This is probably the hardest core model you can get. So there are other versions, regular ZRs, there's a RIOT, there's an M series, but if you're like a real trail weapon, this is going to be the one you're going to have. But I got to say, I stayed up late and had trouble sleeping before I got here to do this intro, and I was not disappointed. So basically, I could talk for hours about this thing because everything essentially is new, but I'm going to try and keep it as concise as possible and hopefully hit on some points that I know you guys were wondering about and had lots of questions about, and I also did. So let's basically just give a quick roundabout on this thing and we'll talk about all the cool stuff. First and foremost, we got to talk about the looks. Now, looks are subjective, love it or hate it. Everybody's going to say one thing or the other. You're either going to say it's sexy or you're going to say you can't stand it, and I don't really care what you think. I think it's really nice looking. I think it's aggressive. It's got a really unique kind of short nose look on it that you don't see on any other sled, so it is its own animal. And of course, you have to touch on the cool headlight with this little winky eye thing on it, kind of raised eyebrow, I don't know what you want to call it, but you're never going to wonder who's coming down the trail at you if they're riding a Catalyst, because you're going to know. And I think that's a really neat feature. It doesn't actually have any actual function, but it looks cool, and I think we need more of that. I think there needs to be more just for fun kind of stuff going on in this industry. Obviously the headlight, super aggressive, looks mean. It looks like it's scowling at you all the time. It's scowling at the competition. There's more going on here to the looks though. This isn't just, it doesn't just look this way because it looks this way or because for styling. Thundercat is using their laydown engine design in this platform like they have in past platforms, but in a much more aggressive way. So if you don't know what a laydown engine design is, basically it means the engine is kind of almost on its side. You've got your exhaust coming out the top of the engine almost, and your intake going in kind of the front. So it's a very different design than if you lift the hood on a Skidoo or a Polaris. And what that means is that your intake being up in the front requires a front mounted airbox. And in this case, Thundercat has used the entire hood area of this vehicle as the airbox, essentially. So this section here, it's not kind of raised up and chubby for no reason. This is where your airbox is. So it's both cool looking and functional. So that's something to keep in mind. Good to use, you know, design features like that for multiple purposes, keep parts down, keep things simple. All of the panels on this vehicle come off with no tools. You'll see that in the test ride a little more when that comes out, but panels come off with 3/4 turn fasteners. The entire hood has one plug for the gauge, 2 Zeus fasteners, and one little lever that you turn, and the whole hood pops right off. I would put this as one of the easiest systems, if not the easiest removal system in the industry for plastic. It's very quick, and it's even easier to put it back on. Definitely the best one for putting back on when you're done servicing. With all of it off, you can get right in and you can actually get to your spark plugs. It's shocking, I know. Everybody calm down, but it's doable. So anyway, that's pretty neat. You got a different front suspension layout on this one, on this versus the Pro Cross. So your lower A-arm, I'm just going to generalize and say that it sits a bit higher on the spindle, so you've got more space from here to the ski bolt and less space from here to the lower A-arm mount. And there's a lot of design features and reasons why they do that I'm not going to get into right now, but it is a feature you're going to notice. You're going to look at the sled and say it doesn't really look the same, because it's not. It does, however, have probably the sexiest spindle I've ever seen, the most sculpted, unique, cool-looking spindle in the industry. If it's functional and it works, great, but if it's functional and it works and it looks cool, even better, right? Same skis as what's been on Pro Cross chassis in the past. We like these skis, they work great, no complaints, no reason to change them. Just a different ski loop to fit in with the overall aesthetic of the sled, so that's cool. One little thing here that we got to mention is all of this season's Catalyst models have these first edition stickers on the front bumper and on the side of the rear bumper, and that's pretty cool. Lets everybody know that you're an early adopter and you're the first guy in line to get your Catalyst. I think that's just a really cool kind of miniature feature that, you know, you might miss at first glance, but it's there, so pay attention. You're going to be the coolest guy in the playground. Moving out back, we got this one-piece tunnel. That's a new way of doing things as far as tunnel design goes. So the tunnel is one piece from the top down to the sides, but instead of using multiple tunnels for multiple different versions of the catalyst. So you've got your ZR, you've got your RIOT, you've got your M, all of which have different width running boards. Instead of using a different tunnel altogether, ATAC has opted to use the same basic tunnel design and then the same running board, which are composite. We'll talk about that in a second. And the only thing that changes is the bracket that mounts your rear suspension right here, and it's all one piece that runs all down the side of the tunnel, and this little spacing right here. So the bracket changes, and this spacing where the running board is spaced away from the tunnel right here changes as well. So on an M where you want your running boards narrower, this gap isn't here. But on a ZR or on a RIOT where you do want wider running boards, there's more material here that spaces the running boards out. And that's just a super smart way of doing things. It keeps parts down, it makes it easier to service. If you do happen to whack your running boards on something and bend some parts, you literally don't have to replace your whole tunnel to fix that problem. Very easy. Like I said though, we have composite running boards. Now I know the first impression people will get with composite running boards is, uh-oh, they're gonna crack, they're gonna break. We had those problems back in the day on ATVs with plastic racks. When you bumped into a tree, they just shattered. These are not that. This is a different deal. This is a special composite material, long fiber material that is designed specifically to be super durable, super tough, give you lots of grip, but also not be brittle under cold temperatures. So it can actually flex a little bit when it's really cold out. It's not gonna break, it's not gonna shatter. When you're standing on it, you don't know the difference. I can't tell that it's a composite running board. It feels exactly the same, but it is gonna be lighter and it's gonna be way easier to manufacture. It's one piece across all models and super easy to replace. The other parts of this vehicle that are composite that typically aren't is this piece here in the footwells, the tow hooks. So this composite material does your brake cover and obviously your tow holds right here. And again, it's a super durable material, but there's an added benefit that I think a lot of people don't think about. When you've got running boards, what happens to them right away? First year you're riding, they all get scratched up, they start to look like crap. These are never gonna do that because they're made of plastic, they're not painted. So that's a bonus there. Moving further back, this seat comes off with one Zeus fastener so you can get under the seat and your battery is up under here. So if you do need to boost it or anything like that or service your battery, it's easy to get to. This is what I was talking about with your suspension mount right here. So different versions of the Catalyst have different, obviously, skid frames and different ways of mounting the skid frame. So this is a 137 and this bracket here is specific to the 137. The 129 has a different bracket and it's a different, the way the skid mounts is different, so it needs to have different mounting points, and that's how they've achieved it. This is one piece with that piece of the tunnel I said that spaces the running boards out. So this is all one unitized piece that also helps to stiffen the tunnel as well at the same time. So very interesting use of parts, very interesting way to integrate multiple pieces into one and keep parts count down. While we're back here, we've got Arcticat's new attach system. So this is their accessory attachment system here, quick attach. It's definitely the easiest in the industry right now to use. It comes like this. The vehicle comes with these pre-mounted, it comes with little cool little rubber covers. So if you're not gonna have accessories on there, it looks nicely finished and really slick. You just pull the cover open, snap your accessory down in there. The accessories are lockable. They have keys built into them. So you don't have to go buy locks. They literally come with that. And that's really trick. That's the only system in the industry that comes with locks pre-installed and included. So you can get a 2-up seat, you can get a gas caddy, you can get all different types of bags. You can even get saddle bags if you want, and that's a really cool setup. I like that. Moving further back, this little piece here, close-off panel, is the same composite material as the running board, so this is going to be super durable. Single LED taillight back here. This is an RXC, so the skid frame has got a whole bunch of stiffening plates and extra heavy-duty parts in there. There's more stiffening in the tunnel. You got a 4-wheel rear axle, solid wheels, all kinds of different stuff on the RXC, just like last season's, that make it tougher and more capable of handling cross-country racing situations. But there are 2 models of the RXC, and I think it's important to point that out because a racer who's watching this might be confused, like why would a racer want accessory attachment points, right? You're going for lightweight and simplicity, you don't need that. But that's why there's 2 models. So this is an electric start model, and the electric start RXC model comes with the attachment points, but the manual start model, which is more designed for your racer, does not come with the attachment points. So you save the weight on the electric start, you don't have the attachment points, it's meant for racing. Of course you can buy one if you want to trail ride it, but why the heck would you do that? Handguards are included with the RXC, as well as the double screen gauge, so that's pretty nice. The The seat on this Catalyst is a new seat, obviously, and it's a great seat. So ergonomically speaking, when I sit down on here, I'm finally in the position that I want to be in. I'm finally sitting with my knees lower than my hips. I can sit back as far as I want. I can move around super easily. I'm not sinking into a couch cushion. I feel like I'm supported and sitting up nice and tall. Everything is where it should be. Ergonomically, I have zero gripes about this snowmobile. I am absolutely pleased with it. Having put miles on it now, it just fits the way I want it to. And riding it feels natural, like I don't even have to think about it. It just does what I want it to do. Switch gear is all very similar to the stuff we've seen in the past. It all works just great. It looks good. It's modern. Throttle feels great. There's nothing about this ergonomic package that I would change or that I think needs improvement. Your Catalyst models come with a tether. So that's kind of a neat inclusion, a neat feature that they've all got that. Something that a lot of models don't come with these days and can be very useful, especially if you're a more aggressive rider. Your key is right here, and it does not do electric start. The key is simply an on-off. The electric start is now only a push button in your left-hand switchgear. You also have a 12-volt visor outlet on all models. That's standard equipment, so no longer do you have to buy them, including on the RXC, which is interesting. So if you got heated shield or heated goggles or whatever, heck, even heated gloves, some of them use that. So it's all right there ready to go for you. You got a center-mounted pull cord, which, you know, doesn't really make a difference, but there it is. At least you have one. Some sleds don't. After riding the Catalyst, after riding this model as well as the ZR, the regular ZR, I should say, I'm super impressed with it. Now, I know. There's going to be comments, you're going to drive me nuts. It only comes as a 600, but that's not that uncommon with new models. There's a lot of new models out there that come out with just one motor option. And here's the thing about it that's good. This 600 has been improved. It's not the same one as last year. There's some changes. There's the 800 crank is in this model now for a little bit more durability and other reasons. There's new fuel mapping and things like that. This 600 feels in this sled like no other 600 I've ever ridden. It's snappy, it's got wicked mid-range, great bottom end, it pulls super hard, it sounds awesome. So, okay, so you're an 850 guy or an 800 guy, you don't have an 800. You know what, try riding a 6 for a year. Give it a shot and see what you think, because I know a lot of guys who did that when other models came out with smaller motors and they couldn't get a big motor and they never switched back. So it's worth a shot, give it a try, and at the very least, you're gonna get to ride Arctic Cat's best chassis ever and the coolest sled on the snow for a whole season, and you might just become a convert, who knows? Especially if you ride tight, twisty trails and you're not on lakes all the time, there's absolutely zero reason for you to worry about buying an 800 or an 850. This is more than you'll ever need. Here we are riding in Thief River Falls, and the trails here are wide open and super fast, and never once did I feel like I needed more horsepower, so, you know, take that for what it's worth. Now the engine mounting of this vehicle, and we'll do some cutaways so you can see what I'm talking about, again, is very unique. It's actually 25 millimeters lower and 25 millimeters further back against the bulkhead versus the Procross chassis. The motor is as low as I would say is humanly possible for a motor in any snowmobile. I don't know that there's any space between the bottom of the belly pan and the motor itself. It is slammed down in there. What that does, it does a couple things. First, it keeps the motor, the biggest, heaviest chunk of the snowmobile, as low and as far back as possible, close to you, the rider. You are the heaviest component of the snowmobile. The motor would be the second heaviest component of the snowmobile. It keeps the two of you very close together in a very tight relationship. The other thing it does is it leaves a whole bunch of space up in this area for the gas tank. So where most snowmobiles have the gas tank go way back down the tunnel, which allows, you know, I guess the third heaviest component of the sled would be your fuel, to be way at the back of the sled, further away from you. The Catalyst, the way it's designed, the gas tank is right up where you are, right in, all up in your business. So all of the heaviest components of this sled are within, you know, 12 inches of you, the rider, where you're sitting. So when you ride it, you feel like, I guess you feel exactly like how it's designed. You feel like everything is just lumped in together, and out front of you there's no weight, and behind you there's no weight. It's a really strange feeling. But we've talked about mass centralization for what? Well, since 2003, it was really brought to light with the Rev. Skidoo just went nuts about mass centralization. It was the most important thing in the world. But nobody's done it like this. This is completely different. This is something that takes it to a whole nother level. And I think of all the sleds I've ridden that people have bragged about mass centralization and how important it is, this one has given me I guess the most proof of its concept, the most proof of why it's important. I can feel it here. Lots of sleds that have been told in the past, so this has got really great mass centralization. I couldn't tell. It just felt like every other sled. This one doesn't. So that's something to consider. And obviously big kudos to ATAC for finally doing something that makes sense, like in terms of mass centralization, something that I can even notice. So good job. The other thing this sled has is, and I mean, everybody knows this by now, it's not a secret, but it has a belt drive, no chain case, finally no chain case. There are countless benefits to this, things that you wouldn't even think of, simple things like noise. You would be surprised how much noise your chain and your chain case makes while you're riding. Now, do I care about noise? Not really. I want to hear noise. I like it, but I want to hear exhaust sounds. I don't want to hear chains winding down in a chain case. So now I get to hear the exhaust uninterrupted, and the intake up in the front sounds amazing. The other thing it does is it cuts way down on parts, no chain tensioners. You know, you've got just 2 pulleys and a belt. That's it. There's not even a cover. So it's super simple, no oil, nothing to drain, nothing like that. It just cuts down on maintenance, and it cuts up, you can't say that, cuts down on maintenance and improves overall simplicity and ease of maintenance. So that's something cool. Why can they do that? Why is it possible to have a belt drive on this sled when no one's ever been able to do it before? There's all kinds of magic going on under the hood, especially with the TCL on the left-hand side with the clutches, keeping them aligned and how that works, and rubber mounting, and there's all kinds of words we can use and big information that I can give you. Basically, ATAC has found a way to make a belt drive work and it be durable. And you know it's durable because it's already been tested in cross-country racing situations. ATAC racers have used them and they haven't been able to break one. And I have met some of these ATAC racers, and if you've met them, you'd know why that's pretty impressive, because these guys are hardcore riders and they don't even care. They smash the crap out of these things. So if they can't break it, there's a very high likelihood that none of you will ever be able to break it. The other thing that's interesting is they can put it on the M version. So when you've got a 154 with a 3-inch paddle, and they can't break it there either. So you know that the shock loads involved in cross-country racing, full throttle landings onto hard ice surfaces with studs, or mountain riding where you're full throttle into heavy snow with a huge track. If you can't break it there, stop worrying about it. This belt's gonna last you probably longer than your riding career, so don't even worry about it. So there you go. There is the 2024 ATAC Catalyst. This one in particular is the ZR RXC. I hope that answered a bunch of questions that you guys had. I hope it gave you some more information that you haven't been able to get yet. I have tons more opinions on this thing that you're going to get in the full test ride, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And make sure you leave comments. If you have any more questions, leave a comment. We always read the comments. We like to hear what you guys have to say as long as it's constructive. If you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to make sure you don't miss anything, and turn the bell on if you want to get updates whenever we update new stuff and put on new videos. We're doing it more than weekly now, multiple times a week we're uploading with new content, so make sure you don't miss out on any of that. We will have more Catalyst content coming up over the next little while and as the season progresses, so you know, definitely you don't want to miss any of that either. I've got lots more riding to do, so we're going to go do that now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.